Well, hello brothers and sisters, welcome to Mission Zero. If this is your first time here, my name is Shawn. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different and I'm actually super excited about it. So if you've watched my channel before, you know that I am a member of a group called No Small Creator that is basically a collective of YouTubers who help each other to kind of polish and get better. And one of the guys that I met in there is a guy named Bill Snodgrass. And so today we're gonna do sort of the second half. If you didn't see the first half on his channel, I'll put a link up here, but we're gonna do the second half of our Q&A together. And so I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited about this project too, Shawn. I think this is gonna be a cool way for us to interact.
Absolutely, man. I really enjoyed doing the last one, and I think this is gonna be super cool today. Okay, Bill, so for anybody who may not know you, which is probably like 2 of my subscribers, tell us a little bit about you and your channel.
I like to say in introducing myself, I'm a full-time teacher, I'm a part-time professional photographer, and a full-time 100% old dude who's made enough mistakes that maybe some of the mistakes have given me words to say about those mistakes. I do a bunch of science videos, and that's kind of how I inched into a daily episode channel. But in addition to science videos, I do inspirational life lesson videos, some of which are short, and we call those snap life videos, and some are a little bit longer, more of a day in the life with a point. The bulk of the channel is life lessons and inspiration and motivation with some tutorials and some science videos mixed in there.
Dude, I definitely respect the daily. I did that just for the month of August, and I didn't have time to do anything else. So for you to do that and have a job and have a part-time photography gig, like, just super props.
Check my Bling.
So before we get to the first question, I just have to ask, Bill Snodgrass, rapper? Tell us a little bit about that and kind of how that came to be. So,
Bill Snodgrass, the rapper. First, I have to qualify that and say that it's a special form of rap. If you're looking for the roots of this, you can Google John Cage, a piece called 4 minutes and 33 seconds.
And on the right there's the score. These are the instructions from the composer to the performers. And tacet just means that you don't play your instrument for that movement.
The form of rap that I do is instrumental and a cappella. So it's both instrumental and a cappella. How this started was, I used to work at a music college. I taught Bible and psychology and sociology and pastoral care and things like that. But I was walking through the hall and I ran across one of the songwriters, and there was this vexed look. And so I said, "What's up?" And she said, "Well, I'm stuck on a lyric." And she goes, "Have you ever written a song?" I could not just give a straight answer. I said, "Yes, I've written rap songs." And she looked like, are you telling the truth?" And I said, "But I've only written instrumental rap songs." And then she rolled her eyes, and then she looked back at the work that she was doing. Well, I thought the idea was worth running with. And there was a guy in the college, his name is Dewey, and Dewey always was working on videos and things. And I just had this impulsive moment. I was like, "Hey, why don't you record videos?" Because he was trying to put a video portfolio together. "Why don't you record videos of me talking about the instrumental a cappella rap songs that are on my EP?" And it evolved and went from there. So here's what I say it's called the Facing the Sun EP project. And what I say is, if you think about the message of the song while you play the track, then it can have a positive effect on you. Yeah, that's what that was about.
That is hysterical. Okay, so I think we're actually going to use one of those tracks for the next B-roll break right now. Okay, so we'll get a little more serious now. So I've been studying dead languages for probably 30 years in sort of religion and various cultures around the world, but I know that you actually have formal education. I think you have a Master's of Divinity. So talk a little bit about that and kind of your history as a Christian, if you don't mind.
Well, I grew up in a Christian household, which a lot of people can say. And it was not like an obligatory thing, but it was always like an opportunity sort of thing. When I got into high school, I found out that I could pour myself into church activities and not have to go home. And I found every reason I possibly could, from puppet ministry to Wednesday night to Tuesday night visitation, and all those things that you can do. I always wanted to go to seminary, and I never could quite put together all of the logistics until much later in life. I think it was 2006. I always have to look. I know I graduated from seminary in 2011. While I was in seminary, I focused on biblical studies. As a Christian, what it means to me is it is a way of life. Bonhoeffer called the people of God the visible community, the manifestation of God in the world today. Not to say that God cannot directly intervene, but to say that God's normal method of operating in the world today is through Christians and through the people of Christ.
So what I thought we would talk about today is kind of the practicality of following Jesus and what it means to be a Christian kind of in the world today. So one of the stories that I love to tell is from Dr. Mark Rutland, and he talked about he was giving a sermon, and after the sermon, a woman came up to him and said, "How do I get a B?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean get a B?" And she said, "Well, I feel like people who do everything that God wants get an A, and that means you get sent to Africa. I don't want to have to go to Africa, so how do I get a B?" How would you respond to somebody who gave you a question like that?
I'm not really sure that God has a grading scale that operates like that. There's a lot more grace involved. So I think I'm going to find fault with the question to begin with, and I think I'm going to just answer a different question. But let's look at just the normal duty of a Christian. What is it that a Christian is to do? There's a text in one of the prophets that the prophet complains about the people of God worrying about the riches and the wealth. This is not what God wanted, because the hearts of the people are not right. So what makes a heart right? What makes a heart right in the sight of God? They love God, and they demonstrate the love of God to the people around them. And that doesn't mean the people in Africa. You can go love the people in Africa, and you can demonstrate the love of the Creator to the people in Africa. But you can demonstrate the love of the Creator to the person who's serving you your cheeseburger from McDonald's, or the person who is turning the pump on for your gas. Demonstrating the love of the Creator to the created. That's what we are supposed to do. Now, will I get you an A or a B or a C? I don't think God operates on that kind of a grading scale.
Dude, okay, absolutely love that answer. So following on that then, in the book of Matthew, in the sermon called the Beatitudes, for people who are familiar with that sermon, Jesus says that we are the light of the world. What does that mean to you, and what do you think he meant by that?
When Jesus is talking to a bunch of Jews, Matthew, a lot of his readers were Jewish, so they would have understood this context. And so the language, city on the hill, is like saying the Windy City or the Big D or something like that. We know what the Windy City is. It's Chicago. We know the Big Apple is New York. So when Jesus said this, you are the light to the world, in the mind of the Jewish people, that means you are Jerusalem. You are the dwelling place of God. Not only that, but you are the place from which the message of God is supposed to go out to the whole world. You are the city on the hill. You are the light of the world. You are the New Jerusalem. You, the people of God, the community of God in the world today. You are the mechanism by which the words of God are going to roll down to the nations. That's what city on the hill, that's what light of the world means.
No, okay, so I'm tracking with you here. So then what he's really doing is hearkening back to the prophet Isaiah. That puts an entirely different responsibility there, right? We are the presence of God in the world. That's weighty, weighty stuff. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, as a teacher, you have access to kids at a really pivotal stage of their development cycle. How do you approach the responsibility of being the light of the world in that kind of a setting, particularly with kind of the separation of church and state that we have in these United States?
I have a lot of contact with kids who were forced to take my class. Learning how to balance chemical equations, I can honestly say, and I've told my students this, and I probably have told my administrators this, I have never balanced a chemical equation outside of the classroom. But what I have done is I've used problem-solving skills. I have thought about solutes and solvents when I'm trying to clean the bathroom, because which solution is going to be best for soap scum and which one is best for rust. So that plays in. But so what am I doing teaching chemistry, physics to a bunch of people who, most of whom, are not going to use that? I'm actually teaching study skills. I'm actually teaching maturity skills. I'm actually teaching life skills. I try to be open to the students. And as a result of being open to the students, sometimes students are open with me about issues that are far beyond the scope of school. C.S. Lewis said, we don't need any more Christian fiction. This is going to come back to me as a teacher. We don't need any more Christian stories. We need stories that are Christian. And he talked about a latent faith within stories. I believe that my Christianity is a latent aspect of who I am, and it comes through in the way I treat people, in the way I forgive yesterday's behavior and deal with the here and now of today. I think in a separated church and state situation, that's the best I can do, is be the salt and the light without necessarily talking about the salt and the light.
Man, this is awesome stuff, and I know people are going to get a tremendous amount of value out of this. So I think we have time for one more question, and so I'm going to give it to you to say the last word, and that is, what is something that every Christian needs to remind themselves of every single day to strengthen their walk with God?
What does every Christian need to remind themselves of about their walk with God? First of all, we're created in the image of God, and that has a very special significance. That elevates us above all other creation. And we need to embrace the specialness of that. Created in the image of God, and then if we are a Christian, we are indwelled by the Spirit of God. So created in the image of God, indwelled by the Spirit of God, and empowered by the Spirit of God, even to overcome death in the case of Christ. That Christ overcame death is evidence of great, great power. What do we do with that? We turn that into service of others in the world around us. We are to be the presence of God. We are to demonstrate the love of God to the rest of the world around us. And if everybody were doing that, what a different world we would live in.
Okay, so with that, I think we will wrap it up. Bill, I really appreciate the time, and I know everybody that's watching is going to desperately enjoy this. And so everybody, take this message today, take what we've talked about, and use it to become the youiest you can possibly be. And may God pour out the blessings of light and strength and passion in you so that you can go be the light of the world. And I love you so, so much. Peace out.